Welcome back to Equals to.
Very delighted and privileged to be on your podcast.
Hooray, that's a good one, and I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Let's start.
Welcome back to Equals to. And what does the future equals to? It equals to a world that we hand over to the next generation. It equals to responsibility. It equals to every action that we take today having an equal and opposite reaction. What we're talking about today is something that is a habit I'm trying to inculcate slowly and steadily in my life. And the other half of this conversation is something that I live and breathe. We are talking about sustainability and Test cricket. Are both similar or different? Let's get into the conversation with my very dear friend who's been on this mission of sustainability for the past decade or more. I've learned a lot from her. I've had many conversations and also doubted certain phenomena at certain stages in life. Today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Darshana, my very dear friend and a teacher for me in some ways as well. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. Very delighted and privileged to be on your podcast. Congratulations on finally starting your podcast. That is the conversation that we've been having for a while. So congratulations.
Absolutely. Well, I've been picking up tricks from you. Ethically Yours is exactly what you run as a podcast, though I've never been on it because I don't make the cut that is required on that podcast. But you made the cut for Equals to as well. So hooray, that's a good one, and I'm looking forward to this conversation today.
Let's start.
Fantastic. The topic says sustainability and Test cricket. Here's sustainability and here's Test cricket. We are here to find out whether these are two different things or two very similar. What's been your take?
Well, it's interesting that Test cricket and I are being placed in the same sentence because, as you know, cricket and me, we don't exist. We try to coexist because people around me like yourself and family, etc., are like ardent fans of cricket. So I have to coexist. Yeah. But if you ask me about cricket, I know nothing. But when you reached out and you said, okay, let's see if there is any similarity or differences, it brought me to the bare minimums, right? Now, Test cricket is a 5-day phenomenon. Please correct me wherever I'm wrong.
I'll correct you wherever you go.
But my understanding that it's a very slow-paced game as opposed to what the other formats are, that are IPL, T20, etc., etc. Now, if you take a step back and really think that Test cricket originated at a time when life was comparatively slow.
True.
People had the time to cherish smaller moments, to look at what they are wearing, to look at what they are eating, to have a conversation, and so on. What is sustainability asking us to do? It's pretty much the same thing. We're talking about slow life, we're talking about slow fashion, we're talking about conscious living.
True.
Consciousness essentially is asking you to slow down, take a moment and reflect on everything that you're doing in your day-to-day life. So I do think that there is parallels in it. How much we want to dig is dependent on how you want to take the conversation. But yeah, I think the parallel of that exists. There is also the aspect of being consistent, persistent, dedicated, because dono lambe race ke ghode hai in a sense. So that amount of dedication and commitment is required.
Absolutely. Well, as we are sharing this conversation, India is taking on England in English land, and it's a test series being followed by the ages. We sent a bunch of kids with an average age of about 28, 30, who've never taken up that pressure. I'm just giving you a little insight into why this topic came around in my head. And it has drawn audiences more than the IPL finals at this point of time. If you look at the stadiums, there are a few countries that fill a test match stadium, but there are about 80% of countries that will not fill that stadium because they find it very slow. And that's what our generation's been all about. We're looking at faster results. So there were one-day matches, right, till our generation or my generation was an ardent cricket fan. And over the last 18 years, of course, IPL and T20 cricket took over. Now, everybody From 5 days, they brought their patience levels down to 8 hours. And that's what encompasses a 50 over match. And now it's become T20, which is in 3.5 hours, you very well know who's winning and losing. That's the attention span, right? If you look at cinema as well, right? Movies used to be 3.5, 4 hours, and it revealed, very slowly. But now the movies are an hour and a half. At 2.5 hours, we say picture bahut lambi thi. Now that's where I think our generation is in for quicker and faster results. In an age like this, what's your approach and mindset when you go out there talking about sustainability?
I was speaking to a very dear friend of mine. She's actually been my guest in my latest podcast episode. And we spoke a lot about something called as regenerative fashion or regenerative as a model. Now, sustainability comes with a lot of jargons. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are like, this is not for me. This is too boring. This is too data driven. This is boring. But essentially, we spoke about the fact that the world that we are living in is capitalist driven, right?
True.
And the reason why capitalism works, or the reason why anything that is working around us, whether it is social media, the way we are talking, the way we are traveling, the way we are consuming, whatever, food, content, fashion, anything, it comes from a place of feeling deprived. So there is enough system around us right now which constantly makes us feel not enough. And that's why we are going out and looking for instant gratification in many ways. So that could be a fast fashion product, or maybe an impromptu trip because some influencer said that's the place you must go, or you are queuing outside some newly launched restaurant in Bandra, which is, sorry to say, but essentially serving 19-20 food. So I think we're living in a trend where we are not given the opportunity to slow down or to even get bored. It is important for a human mind to be bored, to feel creative. Which is not happening in today's age. So we are really just copy pasting, and now with AI, it's become
even
4x,
more so.
5x, 10x
Even more
more.
So.
Like, you think of something, you're going in, and I do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've named my GPT, so we have a close relationship. But that's the fact, right? So in this, to have this conversation, I really feel that after working in this for a decade or something, I feel it's some sort of a rebellious act to say that I don't want to be part of this system. And therefore, I am not buying what you're throwing at me. Or I am taking pride and feeling the thrill of like reusing, repurposing, swapping, etc. And just sort of living on a parallel track, which is not boring. So I'm not sacrificing the quality of my life or the joys of life in any way. But there are other ways to do it. And that'll come only when we at least give ourselves time to think a little.
Yeah. Interesting statement you made there. You said boredom kind of gives birth to creativity. And that's such an intelligent takeaway from what I just heard, because you go to see today, we wake up, we pick up our phone and we start browsing immediately. I think the connect of people, I've seen dinner table conversations where 4 people are talking to their phone, but not each other, right? And I probably would have been guilty of that as well at some stage. However, I think as you keep growing, you keep understanding these pieces. And sustainability isn't a very, much like a diet, it requires you to restrain from certain pieces, right? And much like in Test cricket, you have to keep leaving that ball outside the off stump. You have to keep leaving it till it makes you play, right? So you need to have the right kind of choices that you make. And that's what, to me, derived a parallel between these two subjects. And when you say that boredom derives creativity, that also comes from Test cricket analogies again. You could be playing 3 overs off without scoring a run. You actually frustrated the bowlers to then give in to your. So you made them think what you're going to do next. And that's a beautiful piece that you say. But I'm sure when we look at it, sustainability also, does it look like it's only meant for the privileged few? Right? Like, Test cricket seems to be only meant for the purist right now. Everybody else is the T20 world, or the Formula One, which is the faster one. You get a result in 2 hours. But Test cricket is the one who wants to stay back and wait to play the longer game. Is that someone only, right? Today I'm asking you to define, is that someone only with deeper pockets, or is that every human being on the street?
So I'll have to take a step back for that. And I'll talk about fashion because that's easier understanding. Because you talk about fast fashion being cheap, affordable, accessible. We speak about sustainable fashion being expensive, not so accessible, etc. Now, let's first understand if the price that we are paying in fast fashion is the right price. Once we crack that, we will realize that the price that we pay, let's say $4.99, $5.99, $7.99 for a t-shirt, is not the right price, because you are really stressing your entire value chain. The people in the entire value chain who are making your clothes, the farmers who are producing your cotton or any other fiber, all of them are not getting a living wage.
Okay.
Right? So a lot of these fast fashions essentially work on sweatshops and modern day slavery, where it's the top of the pyramid. The CEOs are making money, tons, right? But there is this unequal distribution across all industries for that matter. But let's talk about fashion because we consume it more than anything else. So if you have to really understand what is the true cost of something to pay, you will realize that for so many years, you've actually been eating somebody's livelihood, if I may say so. Okay, so that's obviously going to be expensive because you're looking at an
rewarding the
improvisation.
entire chain.
Yeah, and you're just looking at doing the business in the right way. Our model right now is just profit, 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 right? Back in the day, there used to be fashion weeks twice a year, spring, summer, autumn, winter. So साल के 2 collections निकलेंगे. Today, if you go to a fast fashion brand, they are putting out a new collection every week. That is 52 seasons of fashion from 2 seasons. Okay. So the fact that we are compressing and adding that much more pressure on the entire supply chain, we are doing everything in the wrong way. So we are not farming correctly, we are not producing correctly, we are not sourcing correctly, but now so much inventory has happened and it has to be sold to you. Therefore, you have to feel inadequate for you to feel that gratification and sense of full when you're wearing something and looking fab and telling your friends and getting those likes, etc. Having said that, sustainability is also, or I would say climate change, the majority or the highest percentage of carbon emissions comes from the 10% of the population.
Okay.
So the richer population, essentially due to their lifestyle, tend to emit more emissions. So whether it's their travel or their lifestyle, etc. So I am very comfortable after working in this for so long to accept that yes, as of today, sustainable products could be an elite product.
Okay.
And people who have the money should definitely look at consuming that because they are responsible for the larger chunk of the damage. So, yeah.
Okay, well put. I think one of the most beautiful facts of life is actually speaking the truth, right? And not speaking to an audience what they want to listen. The ideal answer to my question might have been, sustainable fashion or sustainability is for everyone. Though I think there are some certain small steps that everyone can take.
It is for everyone.
When it comes to probably the elitists, if they start, I think like you're saying, the 10% are impacting the most. I can probably correlate to why certain products, actually reward the entire supply chain are at the price points that what they are. But I'm sure we spoke about the wrongs. We spoke about certain wrong choices that individuals end up making in this journey of being competitive. But I'm sure corporate India, because what I hear is almost about 91% of corporate India right now has taken up sustainability as a CSR mission. And I run an event management company, Woot Factor, and we have been challenged by so many. And I'm blessed to be actually in those shoes where, it was almost about 4 years, post the pandemic, where we started hearing that my events have to be sustainable, right? And that didn't mean that, you change everything. But yeah, we stopped using flex. So one time usage materials went out, and more of fabrics came in. We are yet not there completely, but we delivered an event that delivered about 96.7% sustainability, certified by certain organizations, which I can't name here, but that was for the Godrej Industries. And we were pushed by that, the client of ours, to kind of think outside the box. I'm sure the world's doing something right, because I'm seeing corporate India move that side. What have you noticed? What are the tick marks that we are so far getting right that we can do more of?
See, I really feel that it would be a little juvenile of us to applaud CSR initiatives. They are mandated to do that.
Sure.
So nobody is being a rock star by saying that I'm investing in CSR. You are mandated to do that.
Sure.
So your business as usual is creating a certain impact on the people and planet, and therefore you are mandated to do CSR activities. So that's a given. However, there are organizations, especially because you mentioned Godrej, who have a certain value system that is very rooted. And they operate from those value systems. So you will see that such organizations work very differently than those who are just profit first.
Yeah.
Having said that, there is, I mean, it's a lot of people are calling sustainability a trend, which gives me sleepless nights. They're like, नहीं ये trend में है, ये fad है, ये keyword है, हमको करना चाहिए. Probably it's because of that also that a lot of people are engaging.
Yeah.
I used to be a purist until recently, but I do feel that we will need to blur the lines a little bit here to make it a lot more inclusive. Because typically activists, they would come with greenwashing claims, which is true, right? So we cannot let everybody have a piece of sustainability just because I chose to carry a shopping bag today.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's just so much more nuanced and so much more layered, and we have a lot of work individually and corporate level and government level and policy level for us to like really move the needle. But I am realizing that all of this will only move with like smaller steps. I'm also now convinced that we need the bigger voices, the influencers, the voices that have an impact, that are not talking about sustainability, to take this. Like, right? I mean, Bollywood and cricket, right?
Yeah.
Biggest, it's our religion. Bollywood, there is only Diya Mirza and Bhumi Pednekar as of now who's talking about this so openly and actively practicing it as well. Cricket, is there anybody? I wouldn't know.
No.
Yeah, so I mean,
nobody immediately comes to mind.
So these are icons, right? I mean, Bollywood and cricket, people worship them. Imagine if they start taking action, or if they start talking about it. What I really liked, and I think I pinged you that time, is when IPL had initiated
the dot balls.
Yeah,
fantastic initiative.
So I think it's these smaller aspects that are required to sensitize the masses, to make them feel that, okay, it's not such a big problem that's out of my scope.
Yeah, true. And I think another analogy that I drive from Test cricket towards the goals of sustainability are, if you look at the new generation that's coming around, right? The Gen Zs who are taking over cricket now. And they, of course, look up to the talents of a Saurav or a Sehwag or a Sachin, and now I would say probably Rohit or Virat. They've all come up the age, but they've not left the entire phenomena of saying, Test cricket is the future. I love playing T20. I make my money there. One day internationals gives me a large World Cup stage to perform on. But Test cricket is where my grit as a cricketer is truly tested. The way I derive a kind of a commonality and an analogy here is, I think your self-being and your goodness as a human is derived by your awareness of the surroundings around you, right? And the surroundings include the world. And sustainability is not just for what you wear, it's also your behavior, right? So I do believe if the Gen Zs can kind of start talking this language, can start, and like you said, there are the right kind of influencers with entertainment and sports already out there. If these people can actually adapt that language, I think we might be onto something for trying to make a difference. But having said that, where did your journey start? When did this attract you as a subject to pursue?
I have a very cliched story, then why not? We're all filmy. So I used to work in retail for the longest. Part of the system that I now want to go against or work with, in a sense.
Sure.
And then I was just Netflix and chilling one weekend, and I came across this documentary called The True Cost. Highly recommended for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. And that documentary really ripped the entire fashion industry.
Okay.
It showed you all the darkness that is always covered with this flashy facade that, oh my God, fashion is so cool. But it really takes you behind the scenes and it makes you question. And as somebody who studied fashion, who worked in fashion back then, it was just an instant voice that said, I can't be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution.
Nice.
And then I just felt like a new person is born because there wasn't much information out there. So then it was really about self-learning. I started a blog, remember blogs? So I started writing whatever I was discovering. I started meeting people. I started having my own marketplace because I felt that it was so difficult for somebody to even discover these products. And there were enough products out there. So it's not that people were not already on this journey. In India, there were a lot of people who were already doing it beautifully. So yeah, that's where it started. And then it's just, I don't know if you ask me what else I could do. I'm scared. What else can I do now? Because I'm so neck deep into this.
Beautiful. But how did your surrounding take to this change, right?
I'll give you just one example. So of course, I'm part of a corporate and there are no plastic bottles ever around me. You know it also.
Yeah, I know that.
So there was this one time where we were having a team meeting and there was a plastic bottle. And my boss was in front of me and he said, oh God, pyas lagi hai bahut. And we just all looked at each other. He looked at the bottle. He looked at me. He's like, koi nahi, baad mein pee lunga. So I think there is that sense of, yaar, I think it's more like ye dimag khayegi more than a sense of purpose maybe, but whatever
No,
works,
it'll slowly
works.
get it.
Yeah.
I think it starts there.
Yeah,
There's always a start. If you were to rate the India scorecard on sustainability, where would you rate it today?
I recently saw a stat that said that India's goal of building a renewable energy infrastructure, we've already reached 50% of that, which was supposed to be by 2030. I don't have the exact number but we've achieved 50% of the goal, and the target is 2030, which I think is incredible. Overall, the entire conversation about how India is doing essentially also is, there's this global South and global North conversation. The global North are the countries who are your typical first world countries. They are the countries who are responsible for the highest emissions because of the way they function, the kind of business they run, etc. Global South is us, Asia, the rest of the countries. These countries have always been the manufacturing countries in a sense. Yeah. And our GDP, our emissions, all of that have been comparatively lower. So there's not much for us to cover if we are comparing ourselves to the rest of the world.
Okay.
But India indigenously works on a sustainability model, if I may say so, from a culture point of view. Okay. Right? We don't throw things. There are people who throw clothes in the bin. Have you ever done that?
No.
We will always give it to someone or something. wo pocha ban ke
that's inherited. Bartan aate usko. Aate the.
Exactly.
I miss those days. Yeah.
So culturally, we are very, very attuned to live a conscious life. So I think on a citizen level, if you still go to a tier 2, tier 3 city, the aspiration is there to become someone like a Western world. But our roots are still there. So while the government is constantly working on, and I have to give credit to the governance right now because there are a lot of schemes. They are looking at building in sustainability in every conversation, which is good. We have a long way to go. And unless our youth is invested in it, there isn't much we can do.
Absolutely. I think there's only one thing which I'd love, I will call you a sustainable warrior and, this squad to do. Test cricket lost its mantle in somewhere around the early 2000s, and when IPL was on its peak and all of that, and they believed that Test cricket will not have a future. But today, Test cricket, like I told you, has some solid viewership. It has only been driven by one thing only. There are lesser Test matches that are drawn. So there are three possibilities. Unlike a one-day international and T20, there is always a winner and a loser in these formats. But in Test cricket, there's a third possibility that the Test match can be drawn, which means people just play it off. They just fend the ball off and they're not playing for runs. They're playing for a no result, right? Now, that is the risk that sustainability carries. I would love for it to actually showcase results, glamorize them. Because in India, win in Edgbaston gets glamorized. It creates heroes, right? And Akashdeep, who was not known in the India circuit, was known as a potential good talent, is now saying, oh, Bumrah and Akashdeep will be bowling together. We're looking forward to that. It creates stars. Well, that brings me to the last part of our conversation today, which is an equals to word game. So I'm going to give you a word, and you need to tell me what that equals to in your life. Okay? And that could be anything, right? You can move
It's
away.
not a one word answer.
No, it could be longer. You can elaborate as well, right? The first thing that it equals to. Legacy.
I think legacy would be something that's built with honesty. Yeah, I think people see through faff. If you're creating a legacy, I'm sure your heart was in the right place.
Beautiful, right. Viral trends.
Stop them now, please. We are collapsing. Yeah.
And the pressure of brands even asking us, viral kya jayega?
Yeah.
Whoever knew.
And there's no
Right?
formula. You're
There
just
is
like
no
going
formula.
crazy, right?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. There's no method to that madness.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Reuse.
It's a must. I don't think it's rocket science at all. That's the lowest hanging fruit. Yeah, I mean, reuse.
Okay. Being conscious.
Again, being conscious is being human. If you are taking a second, and this is a life practice, right? It's not even just sustainability. You yelled at me. I'm being conscious. I'm going to wait for a second and say, And I'm not going to yell back at you. But if I'm not conscious, my impulse is going to be,
You're going to reply back. Yeah.
which is not helping either of us.
True.
Which is just how life needs to be lived. Anything's coming at you, hold. And this goes for all the Instagram ads as well. If you see something, add it to cart, forget it, move on. If it haunts you in the night, go back to it, ask yourself again, do I need it or do I want it? And then you'll be fine.
Beautifully put. I think that was a wonderful closing note, right? Take a pause, ask yourself if this is mandatory, and if not, think otherwise, right? Life's all about choices at the end of the day. I chose to have you on this podcast. I think that was a very good choice. We had a very intelligent conversation, which offline we do have sometimes, but other times are spent on the paddle court or next to the bar. But those are good evenings that we spend as well. This was a wonderful conversation, Darshana. Thank you so much. I just hope our viewers can take something back around it, right? Equals to is all about finding an audience who is looking at what is my calling, right? I lacked mentorship at a certain stage in my career. And I just thought of putting a podcast together that can talk to people, give them a certain purpose, certain learnings, certain anecdotes that they can use in life. And I hope our conversation today can achieve that. Thank you so much for doing this with me. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much. Wish you all the best. And may equals to be equal to the best school for anybody who's looking out for directions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. With that, it's Amit Relin signing off from this episode of Equals to. We'll be back with you soon. Like we've just summarized, there's a lot of similarity between Test cricket and sustainability. Be in it for the long run. I'm sure we'll have a better tomorrow for our next generation. Thank you so much.